Number 11. The Empire's Hidden Heartbeat. Vienna, Prague, Innsbruck, names that whisper of imperial grandeur, of powdered wigs and glittering ballrooms. But beneath the polished surfaces of these magnificent palaces, behind tapestries woven with gold thread, and beyond gates guarded by stern statues, lie stories the history books usually gloss over. These are not just tales of power and empire, but of hidden lives, desperate measures, and secrets so profound they shaped the very destiny of Europe's most powerful dynasty, the Habsburgs. Get ready to step through secret doors and peer into the darkest corners of these ancient stones. What you find might just change everything you thought you knew about these gilded cages of power. Number 10. The Golden Cage of Schönbrunn. Schönbrunn Palace, a sprawling masterpiece of Baroque architecture, stood as the ultimate symbol of Habsburg power and refinement. This wasn't just a building. It was an entire universe, the summer residence where Empress Maria Theresia ruled with an iron will, where Napoleon once paced its grand halls, and where Emperor Franz Joseph and his enigmatic wife, Empress Elisabeth, spent their long, complicated lives. The palace boasts 1,441 rooms, each meticulously decorated, from the opulent Great Gallery, where state banquets and balls unfolded beneath glittering chandeliers, to the more intimate imperial apartments, filled with the echoes of family life. The gardens stretched out for acres, a meticulously planned wilderness of sculpted hedges, classical statues and hidden grottos. The Gloriette, a majestic arcaded structure crowning a hill, offered panoramic views of Vienna, a city that was for centuries the heart of an empire stretching across Europe. A stroll through these grounds could take hours past the Roman ruin, a folly designed to evoke ancient grandeur, and the Neptune Fountain, a dramatic sculptural group depicting the god of the sea. But perhaps the most beloved and enduring part of Schönbrunn for the Habsburgs was the Imperial Menagerie, what we now know as Tiergarten Schönbrunn, the world's oldest continually operating zoo. Maria Theresia herself ordered its creation in 1752, a place where exotic animals from every corner of the empire and beyond could be admired by the imperial family and their guests. Picture giraffes grazing against a backdrop of Baroque fountains, or lions roaring in enclosures designed to look like wild landscapes. It was a testament to the Habsburgs' wealth and their thirst for knowledge, their desire to bring the wonders of the world directly to their doorstep. Life at Schönbrunn was a carefully choreographed dance of court protocol, diplomatic engagements, and family gatherings. Even the simplest walk through the gardens was often a public affair, with onlookers eager to catch a glimpse of the imperial family. The palace was a stage, and its inhabitants, particularly Empress Elisabeth, were constantly on display. This constant scrutiny, this relentless public gaze, became a heavy burden for some, leading to a deep yearning for privacy and escape, a yearning that etched its own secret passages into the very fabric of Schönbrunn's grand design. Number 9. Empress Elisabeth's Invisible Labyrinth. Empress Elisabeth, often known as Sisi, was a figure of immense beauty and profound melancholy. She was adored by the public, yet she famously detested court life, its rigid rules, and the constant demand for public appearances. Her private diaries and correspondence, now part of historical collections, reveal a woman yearning for freedom, for solitude, and for a life unburdened by imperial duties. This yearning led her to create, or perhaps find, a series of secret escape routes and hidden spaces within the vastness of Schönbrunn, places where she could truly be herself, away from the watchful eyes of the court and her husband. One of the most whispered about secrets concerns a specific set of hidden pathways that allowed Sisi to move almost entirely unseen between certain parts of the palace and its extensive gardens. While no definitive secret tunnel accessible to the public has ever been officially confirmed, historical accounts from servants and courtiers, compiled in biographical works, speak of her uncanny ability to appear and disappear. One anecdote recounted by her lady-in-waiting, Ida Ferenczi, describes how Sisi would sometimes vanish from her apartments without anyone noticing. only to reappear hours later, her face flushed from a vigorous ride or a long walk, having bypassed the usual public entrances and exits. These invisible labyrinths were not necessarily dark, winding tunnels underground, but rather a combination of clever architectural design and the Empress's own intimate knowledge of the palace's less frequented areas. She knew the back staircases used by servants, the discreet garden gates shielded by thick hedges, and perhaps even small forgotten doors leading to private garden follies or secluded pavilions. A particular path hinted at in letters exchanged with her riding master was said to lead from a rarely used service entrance near the Empress's private apartments, directly to the riding school stables, allowing her to slip away for her beloved horseback. While this allowed her to pursue her intense exercise regimen, often riding for hours, a crucial part of her obsessive quest for physical perfection, all without the court's interference. Her private gymnasium, a scandalous novelty for its time, was also a meticulously guarded secret. While its location within the palace is known, the methods Sisi employed to access it discreetly were part of her personal, hidden world. She had ropes, rings, and even a high bar installed, performing calisthenics for hours, often in the dead of night or at dawn. Servants who occasionally caught a glimpse reported her almost athletic dedication. This extreme dedication to physical activity was a private ritual, a defiance of the sedentary life expected of an empress. It was a space where she could push her physical limits, a stark contrast to the stifling formality of the public rooms. Furthermore, Sisi often sought refuge in a small, unassuming garden pavilion, almost hidden within a thicket of trees in a secluded part of the Schönbrunn grounds, far from the grand promenades. This was not a structure for public display, but a simple, almost rustic building, known only to her most trusted confidants. Here, surrounded by her beloved dogs, she would write her melancholic poetry, often pouring out her innermost thoughts and feelings, including her disdain for her position and her longing for a different life. The pavilion's entrance was deliberately unassuming, designed to blend into the natural landscape, making it easily overlooked by anyone not privy to its existence. It was her personal sanctuary, a place where the weight of the crown could briefly be lifted, and she could simply be Elizabeth. These layers of discreet movement and hidden personal spaces allowed Empress Elisabeth to carve out pockets of freedom within the very palace that symbolized her gilded captivity, a silent rebellion etched into the very stone and garden paths of Schönbrunn. Number 8. The heart of the empire, veiled in secrecy. The Hofburg Palace in Vienna is not just a palace. It's a monumental complex that served as the principal imperial residence of the Habsburg dynasty for over 600 years. Stretching across an enormous area in the heart of Vienna, it evolved from a medieval fortress into a sprawling city within a city, a testament to centuries of power, wealth, and changing architectural styles. From the austere ancient courtyards of the Alteberg, dating back to the 13th century, to the grand neoclassical additions, like the Neue Burg, completed in the early 20th century, the Hofburg embodies the entire sweep of Habsburg history. State affairs were conducted in vast audience chambers, treaties were signed in opulent study rooms, and generations of emperors, empresses, princes, and princesses lived out their lives. In its private port and the renowned Spanish riding school, where the famous Lipizzaner horses still perform their classical dressage, perhaps the most sacred and secretive part of the Hofburg, though technically a separate building but inextricably linked to the palace and the Habsburg legacy, is the Imperial Crypt, also known as the Capuchin Crypt. This somber vault beneath the Capuchin Church holds the earthly remains of 149 Habsburg family members, including 12 emperors and 18 empresses, encased in magnificent, often macabre, sarcophagi. It is here that the physical continuity of the dynasty is most tangibly felt. a silent testament to centuries of rule. The crypt is a powerful symbol of Habsburg devotion, tradition, and their unique approach to death. But beyond the grandeur of its public face and the solemnity of its crypt, the Hofburg held many layers of institutional and personal secrets. As the administrative heart of a vast empire, it was home to numerous offices, archives, and private chambers where sensitive information was handled. Whispers of secret passages, hidden strongboxes, and concealed meeting rooms have always circulated amongst historians and palace staff. These were not just architectural curiosities, they were vital tools in the complex machinery of imperial governance, places where the true, often unwritten history of the dynasty was made, far from public view. The deepest secrets of the Hofburg are not carved in stone, but stored in dusty files, locked behind ancient doors, or perhaps simply lost to time, known only to a select few who worked within its most restricted corridors. Number 7. The unseen depths of the secret house archive. Deep within the labyrinthine corridors of the Hofburg, away from the gilded reception rooms and the public museums, lay what was known as the Geheime Hausarchiv, the secret house archive. This was not merely a collection of old papers. It was the clandestine repository of the Habsburg family's most sensitive, potentially explosive, and deeply guarded secrets. Established centuries ago, it contained documents deemed too dangerous, too scandalous, or too politically damaging to ever see the light of day. While portions of the Habsburg archives are now publicly accessible, whispers persist among historians about certain sections, certain volumes that remain tantalizingly out of reach, perhaps even physically separated from the main collections. Imagine countless shelves filled with leather-bound volumes in tightly sealed folders. These documents weren't just state papers. They were personal letters revealing illicit affairs of emperors, detailed accounts of mental illness within the imperial line, secret treaties that contradicted public pronouncements, records of suppressed rebellions in the Turiel household, often far more complicated than officially acknowledged. For example, there were rumored to be meticulously kept records of various ailments and disabilities, including the notorious Habsburg jaw, detailing the health struggles of family members, information that was carefully managed to preserve the image of a robust and divinely chosen dynasty. One particularly intriguing rumor frequently mentioned in historical circles but never fully substantiated with public documents concerns a collection of personal correspondence from Emperor Franz Joseph's early reign. These letters, supposedly stored in a special unmarked vault within the archive, detailed a period of profound political instability and several quiet, almost forgotten assassination attempts on the young emperor. Publicly, such events were minimized or completely omitted from official histories to maintain an aura of stability and imperial invulnerability. These documents would have revealed the genuine panic and the drastic, often brutal measures taken to suppress dissent, including the covert surveillance of prominent citizens and the quiet disappearance of perceived threats. Another persistent story points to hidden files related to the mysterious death of Crown Prince Rudolf at Merling in 1889. While the official explanation was a suicide pact with his mistress, Mary Vetsera, many unanswered questions remained. Some historians believe that the secret house archive holds documents that could reveal a different narrative altogether. A political assassination, a more complex conspiracy, or even a cover-up designed to protect the monarchy's image. Accounts from former archivists passed down through generations describe specific red tag boxes that were never to be opened without direct imperial command, even decades after the monarchy's fall. These red tags supposedly marked files related to the Merling incident and other profound family tragedies. The very physical layout of this secret archive was itself a secret. It wasn't housed in a grand, easily identifiable building, but rather in a series of interconnected, unassuming rooms within the Hofburg complex, accessible only through a maze of service corridors and unmarked doors. Access was highly restricted, requiring multiple levels of authorization, often personally approved by the emperor or a designated archduke. Generations of archivists were sworn to absolute secrecy, their lives dedicated to safeguarding these volatile truths. The Secret House Archive stands as a testament to the Habsburgs' meticulous control over their own narrative, a hidden vault where uncomfortable truths were buried deep, ensuring that the polished image of the empire remained untarnished, even at the cost of historical accuracy. Number 6. The Alpine Jewel of Ambras. Nestled in the hills above Innsbruck, Ambras Castle stands as a magnificent testament to Renaissance grandeur and the personal passions of one particular Habsburg prince, Archduke Ferdinand II of Tyrol. Built during the 16th century, this castle is not just a defensive structure but a living museum, purpose-built to house Ferdinand's extraordinary collections of art, armor, and curiosities. Unlike many Habsburg residences that focused purely on political power, Ambras was a place of intellectual pursuit and personal indulgence. The castle is divided into two main sections, the lower castle and the upper castle. The lower castle is famous for its armories, a meticulously arranged display of knightly and courtly arms and armor, including magnificent suits of armor worn by famous commanders and jousting equipment from tournaments. It is one of the oldest and most extensive collections of its kind in Europe, offering a vivid glimpse into the martial culture of the Renaissance. But the true heart of Ambras, and its most unique feature, is the Chamber of Art and Curiosities, also known as the Wunderkammer. Located in the lower castle, this was one of the earliest museums in the world. A cabinet of wonders that reflects the Renaissance fascination with the natural world, scientific inquiry, and the exotic. Ferdinand II amassed an incredible array of objects, naturalia like rare corals, strange minerals, and bizarre animal specimens, artificiali like intricate artworks, automatons, and scientific instruments. It was a microcosm of the known world, a place designed to inspire awe and intellectual curiosity. The upper castle houses the Habsburg Portrait Gallery, counting a vast collection of portraits of the dynasty's members from Albrecht III to Emperor Franz II, providing a visual lineage of Europe's most powerful family. It also contains the beautiful chapel and the atmospheric banqueting hall, decorated with stunning frescoes where courtly life would have unfolded. Ferdinand II, the castle's visionary builder, was known for his love of the arts, his intellectual pursuits, and his somewhat unconventional nature for a Habsburg prince. He commissioned elaborate tournaments, patronized artists, and pursued knowledge with a fervor that set him apart. However, it was not just his collections that made Ambras special. The very stones of the castle held a secret, a deeply personal one, that directly challenged the rigid social norms and dynastic expectations of the time. This secret, woven into the very fabric of the castle's private chambers, speaks volumes about love, defiance, and the hidden life of a powerful royal. Number 5. The Forbidden Love and the Phantom Duchess. Archduke Ferdinand II of Tyrol, a prominent Habsburg, harbored a secret that would have sent shockwaves through the rigid aristocratic society of his time. He had secretly married a commoner, Philippines Welser. Their union was a morganatic marriage, meaning Philippines, and their children could not inherit his titles or position, a scandalous concept for a family as obsessed with lineage as the Habsburgs. The details of their courtship and the life they built together were meticulously hidden, and Ambras Castle became their sanctuary, a place where their forbidden love could flourish away from the prying eyes of the Viennese court. The story begins in Augsburg in 1557, where Ferdinand, then a young and spirited archduke, met Philippines Welser, a beautiful and intelligent woman from a wealthy merchant family. Their connection was immediate and profound, but her common birth made any official union impossible in the eyes of the Habsburg dynasty. Despite this, Ferdinand was deeply smitten, and in a breathtaking act of defiance, secretly married Philippines in 1557 or 1558, a clandestine ceremony performed without the knowledge or approval of his father. For years, their marriage remained a closely guarded secret. Philippine lived in various secluded locations, often under assumed names, until 1567, when Emperor Ferdinand I reluctantly acknowledged the marriage. Albeit under strict condition, Philippine would never be allowed to use the archducal title, and her children would not be in the line of succession. This agreement, though a concession, still forced the couple to live a life of discretion. Amherst Castle became their haven. Ferdinand extensively renovated and expanded the castle, creating a private and secluded wing specifically for Philippines and their children. This included a set of apartments designed for comfort and privacy, distinct from the more formal staterooms. Historical accounts and architectural analyses suggest that these apartments had their own discrete entrances and exits, allowing Philippine and her family to move around the castle grounds and access certain areas without passing through the main public sections. One small unadorned door, hidden behind a tapestry in a lesser-known corridor, is believed to have led directly to her private garden, ensuring her solitude within these hidden chambers. Philippines was known to practice herbal medicine and to manage the household with remarkable efficiency. Her private study, often referred to in historical inventories as Philippine's cabinet, was filled not with the trappings of a duchess, but with books on botany and medicine, alongside her personal correspondence. This room, while modest in size, was her command center, a place where she exercised her intellect and managed her charitable endeavors, a court life. This room was intentionally situated in a part of the castle that was difficult to access from the public areas, requiring one to navigate a series of servants' passages, a practical design choice for a phantom duchess who was not meant to be publicly seen. Ferdinand went to great lengths to provide for Philippines and their children, creating special titles and estates for them, always ensuring their financial security while respecting the terms of the Morganatic Agreement. Philippine, despite her unofficial status, was a respected figure within the household, known for her kindness and intelligence. She lived out her life at Amherst, her existence a testament to a love that transcended societal boundaries, a secret held tightly within the castle walls. Amherst Castle, with its unique collections and its deeply personal hidden history, thus stands as a monument not only to Renaissance scholarship, but also to the power of a forbidden love that defied an empire. Number 4. The Bohemian seat of alchemy, Prague Castle, a majestic complex perched high above the Vltava River, is not merely a single palace, but a sprawling constellation of palaces, churches, gardens, and fortifications, holy Roman emperors, and later, Habsburg rulers, for over 1,000 years. It is an architectural tapestry, weaving together Gothic spires, Renaissance halls, and Baroque facades, each era leaving its indelible mark. At its heart lies St. Vitus Cathedral, a masterpiece of Gothic architecture that took centuries to complete. Its soaring arches and stained glass windows, inspiring awe and reverence. The old royal palace, with its magnificent Vladislav Hall, was the ceremonial center, hosting jousting tournaments, markets, and the election of kings. Golden Lane, a picturesque street of tiny, colorful houses originally built for castle guards, later housed goldsmiths and famously alchemists. Prague Castle held immense strategic and symbolic importance for the Habsburg. It was the capital of the Kingdom of Bohemia, a crucial part of their empire. Emperors often resided there for extended periods, particularly those who sought to escape the conservative atmosphere of Vienna or to pursue their unique interests. One such ruler was Emperor Rudolf II, a figure whose reign from 1576 to 1612 transformed Prague into a vibrant yet enigmatic center of art, science, and the occult. Rudolf II was unlike any other Habsburg emperor. He was a melancholic, reclusive figure, more interested in intellectual pursuits than in the affairs of state. He moved the imperial court to Prague, turning the castle into his personal sanctuary and laboratory. He amassed an astonishing collection of art and scientific instruments, inviting astronomers, astrologers, and alchemists from all over Europe to his court. He believed deeply in the secrets of the universe, the power of the stars, and the possibility of transforming base metals into gold. Under Rudolf's patronage, Prague Castle became a hub of experimental activity, much of it shrouded in secrecy. While public ceremonies continued in the grand halls behind closed doors and within hidden chambers, a different kind of work was underway. This era of intense intellectual and mystical pursuit left its own indelible mark on the castle, imbuing it with a sense of mystery and untold stories, particularly concerning the emperor's most curious and closely guarded obsession, alchemy. Number 3. Emperor Rudolf II's Secret Alchemical Labs. Emperor Rudolf II's obsession with alchemy was not a mere hobby. It was a driving force behind many of his actions and a profound influence on the very layout of Prague Castle. He firmly believed in the possibility of creating the Philosopher's Stone, a legendary substance said to turn base metals into gold and to grant eternal life. His court attracted some of the most famous and infamous alchemists and mystics of the age, including Edward Kelly and John Dee, whom he invited to work under his direct patronage within the castle walls. Their work, however, was conducted in the deepest secrecy, leading to the creation of hidden laboratories and clandestine meeting places. The primary location for these secret alchemical experiments was not in the grand public rooms of the old royal palace. Instead, Rudolf commissioned the construction of specialized, discreet facilities, often integrated into less visible parts of the castle complex, or even beneath it. Historical records and archaeological surveys point to a series of vaulted chambers and small bricked-up rooms, particularly in the older medieval sections of the castle, that were likely repurposed or specifically built for these endeavors. One widely rumored location was a series of connected underground spaces near the Dalaborka Tower, a formidable prison tower that already had a reputation for mystery. These spaces, accessible via hidden passages, were perfect for maintaining secrecy. These laboratories were equipped with specially designed furnaces, alembics, retorts, and various arcane instruments for distillation and transmutation. Imagine the scene: the glow of fires, the pungent smell of chemicals, the hushed whispers of alchemists poring over ancient texts, attempting to unlock the secrets of creation. Rudolf himself was a frequent visitor, often disguised or accompanied only by a single trusted guard, observing the experiments with intense fascination. He personally funded these endeavors, pouring vast sums of the imperial treasury into the pursuit of gold and arcane knowledge. Evidence of these activities exists, not just in historical documents, but also through intriguing architectural anomalies. For example, in certain areas of Prague Castle, where excavations have occurred, researchers have discovered unusual ventilation shafts that seem to lead to nowhere, or bricked-up doorways that do not correspond to known blueprints. These could be remnants of the secret system Rudolf created to support his alchemical work, allowing for the ventilation of fumes or discreet entry and exit for his practitioners. One of the most captivating secrets involves a supposed hidden passage that linked Rudolf's private apartments directly to one of these secluded laboratories. This would have allowed him to slip away unnoticed from his public duties, to pursue his passion without interruption or scrutiny from his courtiers. Such a passage, rumored to be concealed behind a rotating bookcase or a cleverly disguised wall panel, would symbolize his dual life: the public emperor and the private seeker of occult knowledge. While the exact location of such a passage remains a subject of historical debate, the consistent nature of the anecdotes in contemporary accounts speaks to its likely existence. Rudolf's reliance on alchemists and astrologers for political advice also necessitated secret meetings. These clandestine sessions, often held late at night in dimly lit rooms, were where the emperor sought guidance on matters of state, from the stars and the secrets of nature. These secret cabinets were distinct from his public study and were carefully chosen for their privacy and security. Prague Castle under Rudolf II truly became a fortress of hidden knowledge, a place where science, magic, and imperial power intertwined in the most peculiar and secretive ways, forever etching its legacy into the very stone. Number 2. Godolo, a Hungarian sanctuary. Godolo Palace, situated just outside Budapest, was not originally a Habsburg residence. It began as a Baroque palace, built for a Hungarian noble family, the Grassalkovich, in the 18th century. However, its fate became inextricably linked with the Habsburg dynasty, when it was gifted to Emperor Franz Joseph and Empress Elisabeth as a coronation present from the Hungarian nation in 1867. For Empress Elisabeth, Godolo was far more than just another imperial residence. It became her cherished sanctuary, a place where she felt a sense of freedom and belonging she rarely experienced in the rigid confines of the Viennese court. Unlike the formal grandeur of Schönbrunn or the bureaucratic weight of the Hofburg, Godolo offered a respite. The palace itself, while elegant, possessed a more relaxed and welcoming atmosphere. Its Baroque architecture was less imposing, and its surrounding parklands were vast and wilder, less manicured than the formal gardens of Vienna. The palace was transformed and expanded to suit the imperial couple, but it retained a distinct Hungarian charm. For Sisi, Godolo was synonymous with her love for Hungary and her passion for horseback riding. She adored the Hungarian people, their language, and their equestrian culture. At Godolo, she could indulge in her deepest pleasures without the constant scrutiny of Viennese society. She spent countless hours riding through the sprawling estate, often at breakneck speeds, accompanied only by her loyal Hungarian riding master, Count Giza Andasi. These rides were not just exercise, they were her escape, a form of meditation and release from the pressures of her imperial life. The palace grounds offered extensive bridle paths and open fields perfect for her demanding riding routines. Stables were expanded to house her numerous beloved horses, and she personally oversaw their care. Godolo became a place where Sisi could truly be herself, embracing her eccentricities and her intense need for physical activity and privacy. It was a space where the Empress, known for her melancholic temperament and her yearning for freedom, found moments of genuine happiness. The fact that Godolo was located far from Vienna also added to its allure for Sisi. It was a strategic distance, allowing her to escape the political machinations and social obligations that so suffocated her in the capital. This geographic separation, combined with the palace's design, made it the ideal setting for the Empress to cultivate her most intimate routines and pursue her deepest, sometimes extreme, personal secrets. Far from the critical gaze of her court. Number 1. Sisi's hidden rituals of beauty and escape. Godolo Palace for Empress Elisabeth was not just a place to relax. It was a meticulously organized retreat where she could pursue her intense and often extreme beauty regimens and personal rituals away from the prying eyes of the Viennese court. Her obsession with maintaining her youthful appearance and her famously tiny waist was legendary, and Godolo provided the perfect environment for these deeply private pursuits. The secrets hidden within Godolo were not architectural puzzles, but rather the intimate details of Sisi's daily life, carefully concealed routines that went far beyond the norms of her era. One of the most persistent whispers revolves around a secret custom-built exercise room within the palace. While her private gymnasium in Schönbrunn was known to some, the one at Godolo was supposedly even more secluded. Designed for maximum privacy, it was not a grand hall, but rather a relatively small utilitarian space, possibly in a wing rarely visited by guests or courtiers. This room was fitted with specialized equipment, including high rings and a chin-up bar attached to the ceiling, apparatuses that were highly unusual for a 19th century empress. Sisi would spend hours here, often in the early morning before dawn, performing strenuous calisthenics and gymnastic exercises. Accounts from her ladies-in-waiting, recorded in their memoirs and diaries, describe her incredible strength and stamina. This room, possibly disguised as a simple dressing room or storeroom from the outside, was a crucial part of her daily life, a place where she pushed her physical limits in absolute solitude. Her rigorous diet was another deeply guarded secret, particularly at Godolo, while public meals at the imperial table were elaborate affairs. Sisi's actual consumption was highly restricted. She often subsisted on a diet consisting almost exclusively of milk, eggs, or broth. Sometimes she would drink only freshly squeezed orange juice for days. To manage this without drawing attention, she had a small private kitchen installed near her personal apartments in Godolo. This allowed her trusted staff to prepare her specific, often sparse meals without the knowledge of the main palace kitchens or the scrutiny of her husband's household. This private kitchen was reportedly accessible through a discreet side door or a narrow servant's staircase, allowing her special food to be brought directly to her without passing through the main dining halls. This ensured that her extreme dietary habits remained a secret to most of the court. Furthermore, Sisi had a profound love for her elaborate floor-length hair, which she spent hours having groomed each day. At Godolo, she found infinite ways to manage this ritual privately. It is said that she had a special hidden antechamber adjacent to her dressing room, equipped with a unique system for managing her hair. This might have included a small private washing basin or a ventilation system to dry her hair more quickly, all designed to facilitate her intensely personal and time-consuming hair care routine. Away from all eyes, the very process of washing her hair, an 8-hour ordeal performed every 3 weeks, was a deeply private affair, and Godolo provided the secluded environment where she could undergo this taxing ritual without public intrusion. Finally, Godolo offered Sisi the ultimate escape: direct, unobserved access to the sprawling park for her horseback riding. While the public entered through grand gates, it is rumored that Sisi utilized a series of discreet, almost camouflaged private gates or hidden paths that led directly from her private wing to the less frequented parts of the park and stables. This allowed her to embark on her long, solitary rides without the ceremonial procession that usually accompanied an empress. These hidden exits were known only to a few trusted servants and riding masters, ensuring her complete freedom as she galloped across the Hungarian plains, far from the suffocating expectations of her imperial life. Godolo, in essence, became the backdrop for Empress Elisabeth's most intimate acts of rebellion, a testament to her unwavering pursuit of personal freedom and extreme beauty, all shrouded in carefully constructed secrecy.